The term Rock of Ages was actually coined a little bit earlier. Back in December of 1970, we had a youth advance over New Year's Eve weekend. And Danny and I were on the committee for that. And we had, I'd say, about 250 people at that particular youth advance. Part of that weekend, we rented a facility at Grand Lake in Salina, Ohio, called the Emporium. We also called it Edgewater Park. It was a wooden building, kind of a pavilion where concerts were held and things like that. And we had some bands play, you know, rock bands playing Christian music. And when we had the planning meeting for that, we were sitting back in the BRC in the corner, and somebody came up with the idea, why don't we call that the Rock of Ages? And that's where that term, Rock of Ages, was first coined.
That's where groups like Press Down first played. I forget who all the bands were that played that night, but there was a big concert. It was called the Rock of Ages.
People were allowed to come to it that weren't registered. It was a witnessing thing, and according to what I've seen documented, there were at least 90 other people there besides the 250 that were at the advance. And then the next year, in 1971, when we had the one everybody remembers, where we had the open air field across from the Wurwell home, that was called the Return of the Rock of Ages. And we had an evening session of just a rock concert where all the groups got together at a place in Minster, Ohio called Eagles Park. It was basically a dance hall that had quite a reputation. And we rented it for one night, and I remember that was quite a stir in the community that all these hippies were coming. It was great to see the enthusiasm and to hear all the musicians and the great music we had back then. It was exciting.
I know when that night Dr. Wurwell commissioned the first ambassadors, I think he called the WOW ambassadors, call that night, and we also had a time of ministering healing at the close of that. And I remember, you know, Dad said, "Come on, Mark, let's go," and he and I would head out, find a spot where we'd stand for people to come to us to get ministered to.